It's 3 a.m. You're wide awake, staring at the ceiling, convinced something is wrong with you. Here's the strange part. Your ancestors were probably awake at 3 a.m. too, on purpose most nights, for almost their entire existence as a species. Modern sleep science just spent decades trying to fix something that was never broken. This video traces the real history of ancient human sleep, from the first grass beds laid down 200,000 years ago, to the group of hunter-gatherers who taught scientists that waking at night isn't insomnia, to the segmented sleep pattern our own great-great-grandparents practiced without a second thought, and the invention that finally convinced humanity 8 unbroken hours was normal. By the end, that 3 a.m. wake-up might stop feeling like a problem. Chapter 1. Sleeping in the open. For most of human evolution, there was no bed, no door to lock, no walls at all. Early hominins slept wherever the day ended, exposed, on the ground, surrounded by animals that saw them as dinner. Sleep researchers describe this as one of the most dangerous windows in a day, unconscious, immobile, and blind in the dark. So why didn't natural selection just get rid of sleep entirely? Because the brain and body genuinely can't function without it. Memory, immune repair, and energy regulation all depend on it. Evolution's answer wasn't to eliminate the risk, it was to manage it. That meant choosing sleep sites carefully, cliffsides, dense thickets, anywhere with limited approach angles. The same logic modern chimpanzees still use when they build sleeping nests high in trees each night. It meant sleeping in groups, because a predator has to get through the group before it gets to you. And it meant something else researchers only recently confirmed. Humans almost never slept all at once. Chapter 2. The first beds. Deep inside Border Cave, in the Lubombo Mountains of South Africa, archaeologist Lynn Wadley and her team found something remarkable. Layers of grass bedding, deliberately laid down and repeatedly refreshed, dating back more than 200,000 years, the oldest known human beds ever discovered. These weren't just piles of leaves. The occupants of Border Cave built their beds on top of thin layers of ash, and researchers believe that was a deliberate insect repellent, an ancient version of pest control. Some of the grass bedding even included camphor bush leaves, a plant still used today in parts of East Africa, to keep insects away. When a bed got too worn, dirty, or infested, they didn't just add fresh grass on top. Sometimes they burned the whole layer and started clean. Fires were built right beside these sleeping areas, functioning exactly the way a modern campfire circle does. Light, warmth, and protection, all arranged around where people actually slept. This is one of the earliest signs we have of deliberate, maintained home comfort, a species starting to engineer its own sleep environment, instead of just accepting whatever ground it happened to lie down on. Chapter 3. The Night Watch. For decades, the assumption was that ancient humans slept in one long, unbroken block, then woke naturally at dawn. Modern research on the Hadza, a hunter-gatherer community in Tanzania, turned that idea upside down. Anthropologist David Sampson and his team tracked Hadza sleep patterns for hundreds of nights and found something the group itself didn't even realize. At almost any given moment during the night, at least one person was awake, not because anyone was assigned to keep watch, but because people's natural chronotypes differ. Some Hadza are night owls, some are early risers, and when you layer dozens of different sleep-wake rhythms across one camp, someone is always alert. Researchers now call this a natural sentinel system, built-in group security nobody has to consciously organize. And these hunter-gatherers weren't sleeping 8 hours straight either. UCLA sleep researcher Jerome Siegel studied 3 separate hunter-gatherer societies on 2 continents and found they averaged only about 6.4 hours of sleep a night, less than doctors typically recommend today. Their sleep wasn't driven by darkness at all. It was driven by temperature, with people settling in as the night cooled and rising again as it warmed before dawn. So if you've ever woken at 3 a.m. and assumed something was broken, it might be the opposite. It might be one of the oldest, most functional parts of being human. Chapter 4. The Night We Lost. Even much more recently than the Hadza's world, human sleep still looked strange by today's standards. Historian Roger Ekirch spent years combing through diaries, court records, and medical texts from pre-industrial Europe, and found repeated mentions of first sleep and second sleep, 2 distinct blocks of rest, separated by an hour or more of quiet wakefulness in the middle of the night. That waking window wasn't wasted time. People used it to pray, talk quietly with a partner, tend a fire, or just lie there in the dark thinking, an accepted, unremarkable part of every night. Laboratory studies back this up. When modern volunteers are placed in long nights with no artificial light for a few weeks, Many of them spontaneously split back into 2 sleep blocks without being told to. Segmented sleep may not be a disorder at all. It might be our biological default, switched off by something very recent. That something was artificial light, first oil lamps and candles pushing bedtimes later. Then, decisively, the electric light bulb in the late 1800s. For the first time in human history, night stopped being dark. The 2-block sleep pattern collapsed into a single push for one continuous 8-hour stretch, and sleeping through the night became the new expectation almost overnight, historically speaking. For nearly all of human history, sleep wasn't a single, uninterrupted block, guarded by silence and darkness. It was flexible, staggered across a group, shaped by temperature and firelight, and occasionally split in 2, a system built by evolution to keep watch, adapt to the seasons, and still let everyone get the rest they needed. So the next time you wake up at 3 a.m. and can't fall back asleep right away, you're not broken. You might just be running very old software. If you want to see another way ancient humans solved an everyday problem you still deal with, check out How Did Ancient Humans Master Fire? Linked on screen now.